So you think golf is just a bunch of folks in questionable trousers chasing a little white ball? You're not entirely wrong, but that's like saying a fine Irish whiskey is just fermented grain. There's a bit more to it, you see. The game we curse and adore today has a history that's as long and winding as a putt on a triple-tiered green at Augusta. Roman soldiers, angry Scottish kings, bizarre inventions. Forget what you think you know. We're about to take a trip back in time. The origins are far stranger and more fascinating than you could imagine. It's a proper historical rabbit hole, this one. Before there were perfectly manicured fairways, there was a simple primal urge to hit a thing with another thing. Not a pristine course, but muddy fields and dusty landscapes of ancient civilizations. Let's rewind the clock, way back, further than that. Before Scotland was even a twinkle in a cartographer's eye, other folks were already having a go at hitting things. Take the Romans, for instance. Those lads were brilliant at building roads and conquering places, but when they weren't busy with all that, some of them played a game called paganica. They used a bent stick to whack a leather ball stuffed with feathers or wool. It wasn't golf, not yet, but the seed was there. Then you have the Chinese. During the Song dynasty, there was a game called Chui Wan. Chui means to strike, Wan means small ball. Elegantly dressed gentlemen swinging ornate clubs trying to pop a ball into a hole marked with a flag. Some historians call this a true ancestor of modern golf. And it wasn't just China and Rome. The Dutch played golf, the French had jeu de maille. All across Europe, people were discovering the joy and frustration of hitting a ball with a stick. The truth, probably all of them and none of them. Distant cousins, family resemblance, not direct parentage. If all those ancient games were the scattered ingredients, then Scotland was the kitchen where the final recipe was cooked up. It was here, on the sandy, windswept coastal lands called links, that all the right elements came together. Mother Nature herself had designed the first golf courses. The Scots didn't invent stick and ball, but they took it, refined it, and turned it into an obsession that would change their country forever. This is where the game truly found its soul. The key difference was the hole. Other games had targets like posts or doors. The Scots dug a hole and made it the final destination. This single innovation changed everything. It introduced a new level of precision and strategy. It wasn't just about hitting it far anymore, it was about hitting it to a specific, tiny spot. It all started with a simple hole in the sandy soil of places like St. Andrews, Musselburgh. This pastime gripped Scots with a fierce grip. It became so popular it was seen as a national distraction. In 1457, King James II of Scotland famously banned both golf and football. Of course, you can't keep a good obsession down. St. Andrews became the game's spiritual home. The first rules were written down and 18 holes became the standard. For centuries, playing golf was a rather delicate and expensive business, mostly because of the ball. The ball of choice was the feathery. It was a stitched leather pouch, painstakingly stuffed with wet goose feathers. As the leather dried, it shrank, and the feathers expanded, creating a hard, compact sphere. Making one was a true art form. They didn't fly very far, they were lumpy, and on a wet day they'd get soaked and useless. Then, in 1848, everything changed with the arrival of the gutty. When heated, it could be molded into a perfect sphere, cheaper, tougher, and truer in flight. At first, the smooth gutties flew erratically, but players noticed older, nicked balls flew better. Club makers hammered patterns onto balls, creating the first dimples and unlocking aerodynamic secrets. The gutty democratized golf, making it accessible to the growing middle class. Early clubs, or woods, were carved by hand from hardwoods like ash and hazel. The gutty demanded tougher heads, persimmon, iron faceplates, then the iron-headed irons. Names like niblick and mashie gave way to the modern numbered iron set. This technological leap helped golf spread like wildfire beyond Scotland, carried by the British Empire. Courses sprang up in India, Canada, South Africa, America. The first outside Britain was in Bangalore in 1820. Rules first codified by the gentlemen golfers of Leith in 1744 spread globally to create standards. The rules, the gear, the clubs, these changes made golf both accessible and universal. And with that, the game that had been local became international, adopted everywhere the sea lanes reached. Technology and travel turned obsession into an industry. You'd think a game as genteel as golf would have a quiet history, but you'd be dead wrong. It's chock full of peculiar stories. We already mentioned King James II banning the game in 1457 for distracting his archers. James III, James IV. It wasn't until 1502, when James IV himself was documented buying a set of clubs, that the ban lifted. The early days were also filled with some rather high-stakes wagers. The first international match in 1682 at Leith John Patterson, a local shoemaker, and the Duke of York beat two English noblemen. Patterson used his winnings to build a grand house, Golfer's Land. Then there's the strange tale of the stymie. For a long time you could block your opponent's putt with your ball. You had to chip over it or curve your putt around it. It caused arguments until it was finally abolished in 1952. Before tees, golfers would create a little mound of wet sand for each drive. They'd carry a bucket of sand and water with them. The wooden peg tee wasn't patented until 1899 by a dentist, Dr. George Franklin Grant. Traditionalists resisted new things, seeing tees as cheating. These quirky details, broken clubs, royal decrees, heated debates, gave the game character. It wasn't born perfect, it was cobbled together over centuries of trial, error, and argument. And all of it played out on windswept links that still whisper these tales. A sport is nothing without its heroes, and golf has had some of the greatest. These weren't just players, they were titans who shaped the game. In the early days you had figures like Old Tom Morris, the granddaddy of golf. He was a greenskeeper, club maker, and four-time Open champion in the 1860s. His son, young Tom Morris, won 4 consecutive Opens before his tragic death at 24. Then came the man who truly made golf a spectator sport, Arnold Palmer. With TV in the 50s and 60s, Arnie brought the game to the masses with charisma and a swashbuckling style. He had Arnie's Army, an army of fans who made golf cool. Competing with Palmer was the cool, calculating golden bear, Jack Nicklaus. Where Palmer was instinct, Nicklaus was strategy, a man who dismantled courses with his mind. His rivalry with Palmer defined an era and elevated the sport. And of course Tiger Woods, the man who changed the game again. He brought power, finesse, and mental fortitude like the sport had never seen. His 1997 Masters win by 12 strokes was a cultural earthquake. Old Tom, Arnie, Jack, Tiger, more than names, pillars of the sport. They are the giants on whose shoulders the modern game stands. Their feats echo on every course. Look at golf today. It's a long way from a few Scottish shepherds knocking a ball around a windy field. It is a global phenomenon, a multi-billion-dollar industry with a footprint in nearly every country on Earth. From Augusta to desert Dubai to volcanic fairways of Hawaii, golf is spoken here. A language of pars, birdies, and occasional 4-letter words. Major championships broadcast live to hundreds of millions. Players become household names. Diverse fans at tournaments. A global audience cheering the same drama. It transcends culture, climate, and geography. Played in snow, wind, rain, and sun. I think it's because golf is more than just a sport. It's a personal battle. It's you against the course, the competition, and, more often than not, yourself. There's no defense, no teammate to blame. Every shot is a new problem to solve. Skill, nerve, and patience. One minute you're a genius sinking a 30-foot putt, the next you shank a chip 2 feet. It's a mirror that reflects your character, your flaws, and your ability to persevere. The modern game is a marvel of science, carbon shafts, wind tunnel balls, GPS-designed courses, but for all that, the essence remains unchanged from those early days in Scotland. The goal is still to get that damnable little ball into that ridiculously small hole in the fewest strokes possible. So grab a cup of tea or something stronger and settle in. We're not just talking dates and names, we're talking about the soul of a game that drove kings to distraction and commoners to poetry. We'll uncover surprising ancestors of your driver and ancient decrees that tried, and failed, to stamp out this obsession. Every swing you take connects to stick-wielding dreamers, rebels, and pioneers. It's a legacy, and you are part of it. Now let's get on with it. So the next time you find yourself standing on a first tee, take a moment. Feel the weight of the club in your hands. Look out at the fairway stretching before you. Think of the Roman soldiers, the Chinese emperors, the Scottish kings, and the legends who walked these paths before you. You're not just playing a game, you're taking part in a story that's been unfolding for 1,000 years. It's a story of frustration and triumph, of failure and redemption. And the next chapter, well, that's up to you. Now go on, give it a good whack. You never know, this might be the one.